I was speaking at a university, and I do something we call Question Mark. And we open up a live Q&A for an hour to an hour and a half about your real questions for God. And we say that we want this to be a safe place for your real questions for God. And so I can respond for both the head and the heart, and to compassionately give responses to real, authentic questions. In the midst of that, a student stood up in one of the sessions and said, "Why is it that Christians are taught to hate gays?" And I just stayed in that moment. I felt the Lord's presence so much, and my heart was just broken that she had heard that. And I said, "You actually mean that you've heard that Christians are taught to hate gays?" And she said, "Yes." And then I just said, Jesus never taught us to hate anyone. In fact, he quite the opposite. He said, even to your wildest enemy, we're to love. And I can stand for truth, but yet I can do that with deep love and compassion. And Jesus was compelling and winsome, and people of all kinds of backgrounds and lifestyles were attracted to him, and yet he didn't lose his message, and he showed love to people. And so as I began to share that with her, afterward, I saw her countenance change, and afterwards she came up to me, and she shared a story about how she had come out as a lesbian to her parents, and allegedly had heard that her parents had heard that from a church leader that Christians were taught to hate gays. I don't know if that actually happened or not, but that's how she heard it. But then she said to me, she said, "Mark, you're the first Christian who's ever responded to me in love." And to be honest, that broke my heart. It really did. I thought she has experienced hatred and judgment and bigotry and fear, and she's missed Jesus. But in the context of that, she had her arms crossed and she said, "I'm not interested in religion. I don't want God. And she was very defensive, but she said, "But you're the first one that's responded to me in that way." Well, she had a friend with her, and this other friend, I asked her, "Well, what's your story?" And this girl said, "Well, I grew up in this mainline denomination, this evangelical church for a little while, community church. I was in a Mormon group. I checked out Islam," and she had about 7 groups that she was from, of cults, other religions. And then she looked at me and said, "And I'm kind of confused." I thought, I would be too. And I said, "You know what you really need? Is you need someone to sit down with you and just look at the life of Jesus with fresh eyes and forget everything that you've been taught and just see who he is, and are you drawn to him, and what's the evidence for who he claims to be?" And she said, "Could somebody do that with me?" I said, "We have people right here that would love to sit down with you and just meet with you over coffee." And she said, "I would love that." And then her friend, who's gay, that wasn't interested in religion, looked at her and said, "You know what? Maybe we could do that together. I would love to do that." And it struck me that she was so open to explore Jesus after she had really tasted the love of Jesus. And people had been praying for that moment. I thought, again, there the vision of Love 2020 was being lived out on a campus as people prayed for their friends, and they tasted Christ's love, and then they were open to see who Jesus really is and to explore how he could satisfy the deepest hungers and longings of their lives.